Hello and welcome to the channel. As always, like the video, and if you enjoyed the story, leave a comment on if you would want more. This fan fiction was not created by me, but in the description there is a link to the fanfic so you can show your support to the creator and read along. Without any more delay, let's dive into the story.
Waking up, Naruto found himself in for a shock of a lifetime. There, in front of him was a rattlesnake. The only reason Naruto knew what type of snake because of the noise that its tail was making. Naruto could thank his academy sensei Iraka for teaching him that. Once Naruto took the time to rub the sleep dust out of his eyes and take a good look at the snake, he noticed that this wasn't a regular rattlesnake. Oh no, the rattlesnake that was on the end of his bed, on top of his legs in fact happened to be much larger than the normal one. No, this was no mere rattlesnake. In Naruto's eyes, this was a legitimate predator of the animal kingdom with very few able to take it on and survive, let alone win. Not that he had a fear of snakes, but he had a definite shit my pants moments looking at this particular snake. With its whole body curled up, it gave off the impression that it was sleeping. Naruto however knew that it was far from that, in fact it was the complete opposite. It was no doubt ready to pounce on its prey and inject its poison fangs into its dinner. That sucks because I'm probably dinner. He was the prime pick on the menu. Talk about luck. Just when he thought that things couldn't get any worse, they somehow always managed to do so. Now finally fully awake thanks to all of the adrenaline coursing through his body, Naruto realized that uncoiled this snake it would be 10 meters long and was 45 centimeters wide. If anyone from his graduating class ever found out that a little wee came out, then the very minor social status that he had would have been instantly shattered. To counteract the fact that snakes had very weak eyesight, Shakudo opened her mouth and used her sensory glands on her tongue. It was to no surprise that she could smell the radiating fear that was coming off of Naruto. It was coming in large amounts, though she did not expect to smell the small stench of urine coming off of the blonde-haired boy. Amused by the fact that she could make children pee themselves, a smirk graced her smooth face as she was proud that she could get that amount of fear out of her prey. Deciding that she should nip it in the bud and get onto why she was here, Shakudo spoke in a tone that told Naruto that this snake was a female snake. "You are Naruto Uzumaki, correct?" the purple rattlesnake hissed, though not in a tone that spelled danger for Naruto. This though she already knew, Shakudo's father had specifically told her to seek the Kyuubi Jinchuriki out. He was the one who had been brimming with traits that would make a great snake summoner. She just wanted to see what type of person he was. Naruto, not being one who was good with his manners, spoke his mind when it came whatever he was feeling. With an even more shocked expression due to finding out the snake could talk, Naruto numbly said the only thing he could think of. "Holy shit, a talking snake!" Naruto shouted as he looked down at the snake that still had not removed the proud smirk that was on her face. Shakudo sighed. From what her father's informants had gathered, this kid was someone who did not have any manners at all. Admittedly, when she first heard the report into how the possible future snake summoner was like personality-wise, she laughed it off and thought that he couldn't be that bad. It was. Calming down the emotions of anger despite being directed at herself for foolishly believing that Naruto would at least have some manners, Shakudo responded to Naruto's statement. "Yes, now are you or are you not Naruto Uzumaki?" Shakudo asked as there was a hiss to each of her words. Naruto, somewhat forgetting just who exactly he was talking to, spoke in his usual tone. Normally, Naruto would be a little more pleasant when speaking to people in the hopes of making some friends, but after what happened yesterday, well, let's just say that he wasn't in a good mood and talking wasn't something that was going to help it improve. "Yeah, what's it to ya huh?" the blonde-haired Jinchuriki said in a grouchy tone that implied that he did not want to be spoken to, which was true. He indeed did not want to speak with anyone today, not even his female teammate Sakura Haruno, who he had a major crush on. Even though she did catch the tone in which Naruto spoke to her, it did not matter to her because she had a mission. Shakudo had been sent by her father, Manda, the king of all serpents. That meant that she would complete it, no matter how crappy of a mission it was. Not bothering to answer Naruto's question, Shakudo replied by answering with a statement of her own. Now Naruto, seeing the slight twitch in his left eyebrow, told her that it was something that she shouldn't be saying. Too bad for Naruto though, she knew that she could win any battle that the two had and win quite comfortably. This meant that she would be able to get away with using it. Continuing on from the slight pause as she gazed on at Naruto's response to her question, Shikudo spoke up. Now Naruto, Shikudo purposefully said, just to see the eyebrow of Naruto twitch before getting down to business. We have been watching you for a while now, Naruto. Shikudo said as she wanted to see the expression on the face of Naruto. Indeed, she got a reaction out of the blonde-haired boy. She watched the confused expression form on Naruto's face before it settled into an angry sneer. Why are you spying on me? Huh, what VE I ever done to make someone, let alone a giant talking snake, want to spy on me? Naruto wasn't sure whether or not to be flattered that it meant someone had a vested interest in him, or worried because it meant that someone might want to watch him fail. Slithering closer to Naruto, now so she was on his lap instead of where his feet, the purple rattlesnake spoke in a calm and collected tone that she hoped displayed compassion. It wasn't enough to reassure him that she wasn't going to kill him, it was just that it made him know that she wasn't going to kill him, yet. We have been watching you for a while because you have shown some traits as a human that make you worthy to become a member of the Snake Clan. Shikudo said, to which made Naruto exceedingly curious. Confused beyond all belief, Naruto asked the rattlesnake on his lap as to what traits he had shown. What do you mean I've shown traits that you find would make me a good member of the Snake Clan? Naruto pleaded. A burning desire to be a part of a family, whatever that looked like, pulsed from every pore in his body. Shikudo was angry. She was angry because someone who had high stature like her was getting spoken to as if she was some peasant commoner. She was the goddamn princess of the Snake Clan. If anything, it should be her looking down on Naruto, not the other way round. Squashing those feelings though, she replied. You have shown that you are smart with your pranks, albeit in an unconventional way. These pranks have shown that you are smart in planning your attack against whatever it is you are preying on, Naruto-kun. Shikudo said, to which was taken back a little bit and blushed bashfully. No one, absolutely no one, not even the two people he cared about most being Iruka and the Hokage, complimented his pranks. Instead, they told him pranking was juvenile and had no benefit whatsoever on his dream of becoming the Hokage of Konoha. Hearing someone validate that there were positive aspects to it, the blonde-haired boy was proud. Again, with the information her father had given her, Shikudo watched as Naruto digested the compliment. I have him right where I want him. Was it morally bad to prey on the emotional trauma of an orphan child? Yes. Did she care? No. Plus, he's going to benefit from this anyway. You have shown admirable amounts of cunning and trickery when you fool your capturers. The fact that you had such limited training yet have achieved a high level of stealth is quite remarkable. As Shikudo finished, she was once again greeted with the sight of Naruto blushing. The blonde-haired boy found the compliment an uncommon but welcoming feeling. You are shrewd in the way that you use your currency. You have had to learn how to budget from a young age. Too many children take for granted their parents. It went unspoken that Naruto had no choice in the matter. Regardless, Naruto blushed, receiving another compliment in such a short space of time. When you learn the Ninpu, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, ninja arts, shadow clone jutsu, in under 3 hours, it showed that not only are you able to learn fast if you apply yourself, it also showed that you have the determination to be the best shinobi that you could possibly be. The serpentine creature stated to Naruto, who looked proud knowing that he had the biggest determination compared to all of his other classmates. Yet again, Shikudo was stroking the values of hard work that Naruto spouted. Knowing that it was best to get some traits ingrained into Naruto early before anyone else could try and sink their fangs into the boy, Shikudo spoke up, desperate to move the conversation along. Naruto was annoying her. Despite what the large majority of people thought, Naruto was aware that he still had room to improve. He wasn't the second coming of the Hokage, as much as sometimes he wished he was. The biggest trait you have is your unwavering desire to accomplish all of your goals. No matter what happens, you are able to face a problem head-on, confident that you will be able to achieve your goal. You are aware that you may fail, however you will keep trying to no matter what. The goal to become the Hokage is a display of this desire. Naruto promptly let a few tears down his face because he had never had anyone say such kind things to him before. Sure, the Hokage told him that he could become the Hokage if he set his mind to it, same with Tucci and Iam, but to have the backing? This was new and scary. For the blue-eyed boy it was truly overwhelming. Seeing that it was a little bit too much for Naruto to handle. She knew that Naruto needed a shoulder to cry on, and it was something that she was going to provide. Slithering up to Naruto, Shikudo uncoiled herself and wrapped her warm body around the small frame of Naruto Uzumaki. It wasn't done though as if it was done in something that her father would do to his prey. No, this was the way that a mother snake would do to comfort her. Once it took Naruto about 5 minutes to get his crying under control, he felt the cool feeling that Shikudo's skin provided, and he wondered why the snake was doing this for him. The anxieties seeped out of his body. Tension released, and he watched in shock and horror as the snake left him. Now I must bid you good well, Naruto-kun. I have to go back to my father and report that I have spoken to you and told you that you will be able to join the Snake Clan provided that you improve yourself as a person to be someone who won't tarnish the name of our clan. Shikudo mentioned, not giving him her full attention. In his haste to keep the company of the snake, Naruto asked all but screamed, "Wait a second. Can you tell me how I can improve my chances on becoming a member of the clan? And when you will tell me whether or not if I've made it into the clan?" Naruto desperately said, because he had decided in that moment that he wanted to be a part of the clan. The way that Shikudo had reassured Naruto that he could become the Hokage was something that the boy was incredibly grateful for. It seemed pointless of her to go and tarnish her previous effort, but if it gave Naruto a fighting chance of gaining acceptance, then she would merit him with the information that he desired. After all, she had helped bring his spirits up, so why not go the whole distance? The payoff was going to be 1,000-fold. Choosing her words carefully to solidify Naruto's dependency on the Shikudo started speaking as she worded what came out of her mouth carefully. Well, Naruto, before I start, get a pen and a piece of paper in case you forget what you were trying to learn. You can go back and revise your notes instead of stagnating in your development, both as a person as well as a shinobi. Shikudo said, to which Naruto pulled off the blankets and got up and went over to the chest of drawers and pulled out a pen and a piece of paper. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki was eagerly awaited to hear what he had to write down. Alright, the first thing that you need to work on is your patience. You are far too hot-headed, which is bad for not only being a ninja but also as a person. A Hokage needs to be able to analyze every bit of information rather than using the first bit he finds. The consequences of making the wrong decision will be fatal. Make no mistake, the lives of all of Konoha's residency rest on your shoulders if you become Hokage. The purple snake said to Naruto. Gulping at the seriousness in what he had just heard, Naruto nodded and quickly wrote down that he needed to have patience. Another thing that you need to work on is your emotional intelligence. Snakes are cunning, smart, able to maneuver people around them to achieve their goals. Having low emotional intelligence allows you to be manipulated by those around and above you. At this current stage, your emotional intelligence is lacking. We will not be having the human that represents our plan to be someone who is not emotionally intelligent. You will be representing the whole clan if you are successful. Your actions and how you interact with the world is a representation on us. Naruto, being an orphan, did not have a good concept of humiliation. He didn't care if he embarrassed himself, it was not as if someone would care. The looming potential of having a family, however dysfunctional a talking snake family was, Naruto didn't want to fuck this up. He wanted them to look at him with pride, not disdain. The next thing is your choice of attire. To me it shows that you are an immature little kid, a little kid who doesn't care about his shinobi career. Whether you like it or not, appearances matter. People are going to judge you based on your appearance. How you dress yourself affects your status in society as well as your potential success on a mission. The Snake Clan have a high standard of dress, and we expect our summoner to also represent us to the highest degree. Naruto flinched at the comment. It was hard to find clothes that he could afford, plus he truly loved the color of orange. Shikudo did not need to state just how much she despised Orochimaru and his fashion choices. You do not need to completely change your clothing style. I know how much you like the color orange. Shikudo said as she looked dryly at the choice of clothes that Naruto had chosen to wear. What you do need to change, however, is so that you have a style that suits being a ninja, not a civilian. That is not the right way to be going about gaining respect from others. The best ways to get attention and respect is through behaving in a proper conduct and being a strong shinobi. Shikudo said, to which the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki rapidly nodded as he now knew that people respected Sasuke more than him. Sasuke, in their eyes, was a better shinobi and carried himself with more dignity. Above all, knowledge is the most important skill to have, yet it is the area that I find you lacking the most. You are creative when it comes to using what you already know. However, your general knowledge and your knowledge of the requirements that a Hokage needs to know is very poor. It's something that needs to be addressed immediately. Now normally Shikudo would not look at Naruto because she knew that he would be busy writing down on the paper. When her very precise and sharp hearing detected that there was no sound of the metal tip connecting down onto the paper, she turned around curiously. It was then that the purple rattlesnake felt a bit of guilt and remorse for what she had just said. She could guess what was going through the mind of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. It was not her responsibility to coddle the genin. In her eyes and the eyes of the shinobi system, Naruto was an adult. With her piece said, she slithered to the door, leaving the Uzumaki with a lot to think about. Thank you, Snake, I really appreciate what you have just done for me today. You have given me a lot to think about. Naruto graciously said to the snake, who just nodded in its own fashion and headed for the window. Before it could get there, Naruto spoke up once more. Excuse me, Naruto said as he tried to practice using manners for the first time in a long time. The last time he had done that was when he wanted to gain access to the library. You never told me what your name was. Can you please give me something better to call you rather than just Snake? Naruto asked as politely as he could without any real training in the art. Impressed by the tone of voice and also the words that Naruto used when he spoke to her, Shikudo decided that Naruto deserved at least know her name. My name is Shikudo, you may call me Shikudo-sama. The serpentine creature said, to which Naruto nodded and also wrote down on the piece of paper so he didn't forget. He at least tries. Shikudo, Naruto whispered, feeling how the name felt on his lips. Without wanting to spoon-feed the boy, Shikudo spoke once more. Naruto, there is one last piece of advice that I will give you before I go. To which Naruto stared at her purple scales and the yellow eyes which had a slit down the center of them. You still have yet to learn all you can about the ninpu, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Ninja arts, shadow clone jutsu. The purple reptilian cryptically said before she slithered down the other side of the open window thanks to her skills in chakra control. Wait a minute, she never told me what time they would be coming to tell me whether or not I can become a part of their clan. Oh well, I guess that I just have to be ready for whenever they come. Naruto mused to himself. With a pep in his step that hadn't been seen for a long time, Naruto headed towards the library. Luckily for Naruto, the genin remembered the piece of paper just as he was about to lock the door to his apartment. After heading back inside, Naruto got the paper and left with a newfound determination. XXX. 1 month had passed since Naruto had gotten a visit from the princess of the Snake Clan. Looking back at where he was at as a person a month ago compared to where he was now, the blonde was incredibly proud. Proud as he saw just how far he had come from an immature brat to what he personally considered an adult. Now not only by the law, but also by the way that he was a 13-year-old thinking this though. The Konoha General Shinobi and Civilian Library was the biggest storage of books and novels for people of all backgrounds, ages and skill levels to read in the whole entire Shinobi elemental continent. This was a record that was proudly boasted by the people who ran the establishment, and it was something that Naruto fully intended to capitalize on. Hours upon hours of his free time, the genin spent in the library attempting to soak up as much information as possible. He was picking up all of the information he should have learnt at the academy and refreshing himself on what he kinda knew. Patience was one of the main improvements over the past month, with Tucci and I am being able to see it firsthand. Now Naruto didn't speak whilst having a mouthful of food. It may not seem like much, but it was honest work. As much as Naruto was starting to realize that Ichiraku ramen might not be the healthiest thing for him to eat all the time, the emotional validation and happiness he got from being there couldn't be understated enough. It was his happy place. It was an eye-opener for Ayam. Though she did not comment on it at the time, she did raise an eyebrow and directed it at Naruto, who was blissfully unaware of the gesture as he was too busy focusing on eating in a way that would impress the Snake Clan. When the next few visits of Naruto, however, kept up in this new way of eating and talking as politely as he could, it was too big of a shock for Ayam to ignore. Flashback. She couldn't take it. Ayam had been watching how the person who ate the most ramen in the village, and it was killing her curiosity about how Naruto could change so much in such a short amount of time. Of all the conclusions she had come to, the one that stuck out was that Naruto was doing this to impress that pink-haired girl he had a crush on. The other teammate Sasuke was well-mannered, and maybe Naruto saw that as his way in. Now Naruto, why is it that you are trying so hard to impress that pink-haired girl? Are you practicing for a date? If she says yes, the ramen bistro waitress/chef asked with a curious frown on her face. Clueless to what was going on in the mind of the teenage girl, Naruto replied in a polite manner. No, I just got some advice from someone that to even have a chance at becoming the Hokage, you need to be polite and be well-mannered for all of the meetings and events that you have to go to. Naruto said, ending the statement with a small smile on his face. And that was that. Ayam had her curiosity satisfied and went back to taking the orders of other regular customers who were both curious and wary as to why Naruto showing much more respect and patience. End flashback. Out of everything which he had been working on over the past month, Naruto felt the most pride in the transformation of his reading and writing. Before Naruto had the meeting with the Snake Clan heiress, his skills in both arts were terrible, to put it nicely. The scribble that Naruto used to call his handwriting was so bad, one could barely recognize it. The same could be also said for his skills when it came to reading, as Naruto had always had trouble following what was being taught at the academy. He fell behind at the start, and it was simply too big of a gap for him to recover without putting in the time and effort. No teacher either cared or had the time to help Naruto in this area. It got to the point that Naruto had just given up thinking that he would ever be able to read and write some of life's essential things to a level that would be average in the eyes of society. This all changed when Naruto learned the secret to the Ninpu, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, ninja arts, shadow clone jutsu. It was a little surprising that Naruto got the hint that Shikudo had left. In fact, she thought that it would take a while before the blonde cracked the code on the jutsu. It all came about when Naruto sent of one of the clones to go to another shelf in the library and get the next book in the beginner's set of reading and writing. It came back with the knowledge of not only the title, but also the contents page, as the clone got curious himself. After Naruto got over the shock of the clone dispersing, he started thinking about if this was what Shikudo-sama was on about when she said there were still things that he didn't know about the jutsu. Using his favorite method of learning, trial and error, Naruto started experimenting with what a clone could learn. If he could learn at a faster rate, it would drastically reduce the time required for him to be ready for the Snake Clan, whenever they came calling. Unfortunately for Naruto, he never had an arrival time for the offer. This meant that the son of the fourth Hokage had to be ready at any and every possible time. The Uzumaki was utterly delighted when he found out that muscle memory and hand-eye coordination transferred across from the clones. Through analysis, he found out that the only thing that didn't come across was physical exhaustion. Guess I have to do taijutsu myself. Thanks to this learning method, Naruto was able to drastically increase his reading and writing to that of an adult. As these changes unfolded in Naruto, many were happy. Irika and the Ichiraku family especially, given that they had seen how much Naruto was working at getting better. They could see him maturing and developing into the person they knew he could be. It wasn't all positivity in Naruto's development though, as he noticed both of his teammates seeing his change as a changing of the status quo. Albeit misguided, Sasuke saw Naruto as trying to copy his aloof and detached attitude. Coming from his rival who wanted to beat him all the time, maybe this was some sort of sick and twisted way of getting stronger in the blonde's eyes. On the other side of the coin, one Sakura Haruno thought that this was Naruto's newest attempt for trying to win her over so that she would become his girlfriend instead of Sasuke-kun's future wife. Not liking the change in Naruto due to it being a sign of him being different from what was easy to predict, she felt the need to put him back in his place in her mind. Sakura had started going on about how that Naruto was never going to amount into anything that would date-worthy material ever, no matter how much he changed as a person. More importantly though, she had started to go on about how he should stop trying to be polite, calm and collected like her Sasuke-kun. This did have the effect that Sakura had wanted. She definitely got Naruto to stop attempting to go out with her. Naruto had immediately, now with different values, thought about all of the qualities that Sakura had which mirrored those of the Snake Clan. If he was going to be affiliated with a family like the Snake Clan, then his partner would have to also be a good representation to the family. Looking at the situation, Naruto could only ever see Sakura being impulsive and brash, much like how he used to be. It was then that he came to a shocking conclusion. Sakura was not someone that they would allow him to date because they thought that she did not hold herself with proper conduct of a kunoichi in training. In their eyes, she should have been training to become a good ninja, and from the limited time that Naruto actually spent as her teammate, he knew that she did not train one bit. In addition to this, she focused on her looks being the sole priority in her life as a kunoichi. It was her identity. Sure, shinobi are supposed to look good and appearances definitely matter, but that was to a point. Naruto now held no reservations to the fact that he was going to become the Hokage of Konoha thanks to the reassurances. It was a matter of when, not if. All he had to do was put the effort into becoming someone deserving of the title. The thing that made Naruto realize that Sakura was not the girl for the person who he was trying to become though was that she had a bad temper, which was something that Naruto knew that the Snake Clan would not like. She got angry far too easily when you pushed the right buttons, which were not that hard to find. In contrast to his teammates hating the new Naruto, there were people who were sitting on the fence concerning Naruto's recent change in personality. Those two people being Naruto's sensei and the person who he wanted to take the job off. Both Kakashi Hatake and Hiruzen Sarutobi were curious and somewhat apprehensive as to what brought on Naruto's sudden change in his personality. At first they thought that it was good for Naruto as he needed to become a bit more mature. Then as time went on and they noticed that Naruto was showing less and less signs that indicated that he had undergone a change recently, and they thought that there was something that took Naruto's innocence away from him. If there was anyone in the entirety of Konoha who could have had a motive to leave the village, it was none other than Naruto Uzumaki. He had been dealt a severely harsh childhood which only got worse thanks to the population of Konoha. The future of the village hidden in the leaves rested on a single boy's shoulders more than he knew, and Hiruzen and Kakashi would do everything to make it so Konoha prospered. Naruto was trying his hardest to rein in his hyperactivity. Unfortunately, the blonde-haired boy was not adept enough in being able to prevent it coming to the surface. Occasionally there would be bursts where he would act like the old Naruto. "Yeah!" Naruto shouted as he raised his fist in the air as he jumped to show the full scope of his emotions. This was before he realized what he was trying to rein in. Blushing, Naruto receded a little bit into his orange jacket to hopefully stop the people around him from staring at him. Amused by the response to the mission that Naruto gave, Hiruzen Sarutobi got them all to give their full attention to him. This was so that he could tell them what their mission consisted of. Sasuke smirked at the sight of the old Naruto, the closest person to who he could call a friend. "Now I must say congratulations are in order. This is your first mission apart from the standard D-ranked missions that all teams have to do," Hiruzen said as he wanted to see the expression on the face of Team 7. While it was good and all to see the smiles on the faces of Sakura and Sasuke, it was a bit of a worry to the Sandaime Hokage that the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi could be so happy at the prospect of leaving the village. He could only hope that this didn't mean anything bad. As long as Naruto still had the dream to become the Hokage, then all was well and good. Knowing what was to come next, Kakashi didn't stop the Sandaime from bending the truth a little bit. In fact, both Kakashi and I are very impressed with the way that your team has handled your missions so far. We have decided that we will allow you to skip C-ranked missions and give your team a B-ranked mission instead," the Hokage said with a smile on his face. The reactions that the Hokage was expecting coming from Team Kakashi were exactly what he got. The pink-haired girl was even more nervous than what she was before when he told them that they were going on their first real mission. The future Sharingan wielder, though, he was the complete opposite of the person who had the biggest crush on him. His confidence in his abilities was up at a record high thanks to him becoming the Rookie of the Year. Looking at Naruto, both Kakashi and Hiruzen were impressed at the expressions that Naruto was showing on his face, which were down the middle. There was nervousness, confidence, and the willingness to go on the mission. He was showing quite a lot of nerves though. Naruto tried his best to hide them behind the small polite smile that was becoming more and more natural as time passed. Eventually that smile would be better known to those around Naruto than what his big foxy grin was. In the eyes of Hiruzen, it was somewhat sad to see Naruto grow up so quick. He would have hoped that that youthful exuberance stayed around a bit longer. For your mission, you are to go to the hidden village in the grass, or as it is more commonly known, Kusagakure. The reason as to why you are going there is because your sensei, Kakashi, is fairly well known to the world. He is going to be conducting political talks with them. This is in the hopes of bargaining a new trade agreement for their poisons in return for some of our crops. Hiruzen said to the 4 members that made up Team 7. This news gave Sakura a little bit more certainty in the fact that she was going to live past their first real mission. From what she had just heard, it sounded like one where it didn't require her rather limited skill set. Sasuke was a little miffed about the fact that his chance to test himself against worthy ninjas. When he first heard that he would be going on a B-ranked mission, he thought that he was going to be up against actual ninjas. From what he had heard just then, it sounded more like a mission ranked on importance alone rather than difficulty. There was a little part inside of him that was relieved, although he didn't know it. Much like Sasuke wanted to go up against strong ninjas to prove himself worthy, Naruto also wanted to test himself. This was for 2 reasons. The first reason being that he wanted to prove to the Snake Clan that he was worthy of joining them. The second reason being that Naruto wanted to prove to all of the people back in Konoha who either despised or doubted him wrong. He wanted to see their smug smile drop right from their face. On the other hand, Naruto also was sharing feelings similar to his pink-haired teammate. Like Sakura, there was a part of him that doubted whether or not he had what was needed to complete the mission. The blonde-haired boy suffered from a severe case of projecting false confidence with a serious case of self-doubt. Naruto knew that he had improved drastically in the last month. The question was though, would it be enough? Knowing that he was on a tight schedule, the Sandaime knew that he had to get the team in front of him out. This was so that he could give a mission to another team. It was the way that a leader had to be. Hiruzen started speaking moments after. Now, I am all sure that you have a mission to go pack for. You better be prepared for anything. Hiruzen said to not only Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto but also Kakashi, as he wanted him to get the hidden message. Knowing when he was being given the message to dismiss himself, Kakashi nodded to the leader of the Hidden Leaf Village. Kakashi then proceeded to make his way over to the door and told his students to do the same thing. Once they were outside and out of the way of the current Hokage, Kakashi started to explain to his students what their mission consisted of. Now while this mission is ranked as a B-ranked mission, you don't need to hyperventilate as much, Sakura. This mission is ranked as such for importance rather than danger, Kakashi said to all of his students. At this point they all nodded as they wanted to know what was going to be said next. Normally, the former ANBU captain wouldn't be as assertive when it came to a simple B-ranked mission. While it was simple enough for the high A-ranked, borderline S-ranked ninja. Since it was something that would have a big effect on the economy, Kakashi was thankful that the trade agreement had already been agreed upon by the Hokage. All he had to do was some formalities and sign off on it. That being said, I still wouldn't rule out some sort of attack, so I want you to be prepared for anything. Even if it doesn't happen, it can't hurt to be prepared, Kakashi said, to which both Naruto and Sasuke nodded. Sakura on the other hand looked about as nervous as she was when she was in the office of her rather nice dictator. Seeing the apprehensive look on the face of student who reminded him of his teammate Rin, Kakashi did his best with trying to ease her fears. This was something that was harder than it had to be for Kakashi. He wasn't someone who had experience with teenage girls. "Ma, don't worry about it, Sakura-chan. I won't let anything happen to you. I promise that, I'll even stake my life on that claim, so you don't need to be afraid," Kakashi said to hopefully ease the emotions of the teenage girl. Indeed it did, as the pink-haired girl had reassured herself, straightened out her posture and stood with more confidence than what she previously had. Happy that he had that sorted out, Kakashi said one last thing before he went and used the Ninpu Shunshin no Jutsu, ninja arts, body flicker jutsu. There was the hope that he could go and spend some time at the bar with Guy and Asuma before the mission started. "Now, our mission will start tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock and I expect you all to be there on time. Oh, one last final piece of advice is the mission is going to go for 1 week and a half, so pack accordingly," said with an eye smile and getting nods from all of his students, Kakashi dispersed in a cloud of smoke, leaving 3 genin to themselves. Realizing that they were alone for a whole day without their sensei being around, Sakura took advantage of what was in front of her. "Hey Sasuke-kun, do you want to go out on a date with me?" the pink-haired girl questioned, with the hopes of her fantasy wedding already running through her mind. Affronted about how little Sakura cared about her ninja life, Sasuke this time around was a little more forceful in his rejection this time around. "No Sakura, you are a ninja, you should be more worried about whether or not you're going to live past this mission. You shouldn't be trying to date me." With that said, Sasuke not only left but he also brought back all of the insecurities that Kakashi had previously gotten rid of. Naruto though had other things on his mind, as he knew that he had only one ninjutsu in his arsenal, and for him, that wasn't enough. Naruto headed to the library wanting some reassurances that he would survive this mission, or he could possibly be ambushed. XXX. Fresh with the knowledge gained at the library, Naruto headed to the same place to find out what he could do in a short space of time. He knew that there was limited time, so he needed to make the most of it. Going into the genin section, Naruto picked up the book which seemed to correlate most to his situation. After quickly skimming the contents page, the Uzumaki child found what he was looking for and jumped to page 33. Apparently, elemental ninjutsu was a quick shortcut to learn the basics of, but took years to master. It is critical every elemental user needs to know what element they have a predisposition to. Each ninja will have an element they find easier to learn and subsequently, one that is harder. This will make it easier and give you a better sense of accomplishment. It will also help with people getting disheartened, as they will be seeing results sooner. To find out what element you are, all you have to do is go to your local shinobi gear store, buy some elemental paper. Usually it is on the front counter and is plain white, which makes the paper easier to distinguish. You then channel your chakra into the paper and it will tell you what element you lean towards by the reaction it gives off. With a chip on his shoulder regarding how some places previously treated him, Naruto vowed to get new clothes only when he was in a different village. Rushing inside, the blonde got chakra paper and headed outside as soon as he could, leaving the store clerk bewildered as she looked up from filing her nails. Training Ground 7. After arriving at the training ground, Naruto sat down on the ground with his back resting up against a tree. Getting down to business quickly, Naruto watched in fascination as the paper in his hand reacted to the chakra that he sent through it. Watching how the paper split in half, Naruto wondered just what exactly that meant. With his new information, Naruto returned his gaze to the book in hand, wondering where to go now. When you channel your chakra, the paper will have one of 5 reactions. Other additional possibilities could be a bloodline. If you have an affinity to the Doton element, the second most common element in Konoha, then the paper will start to crumble into the palm of your hand. The stronger the affinity, the more pieces of dirt the paper will crumble into. If it gets to the point that you have small pebbles in your hand, then you have a strong earth element. Skimming through the book, he found what he needed and focused on it. If you have an affinity to the futon element, the rarest of all the elements, then your paper will split itself into 2 even pieces. The stronger the affinity, the sharper and more precise of the cut the paper will have. If it gets to the point that your paper's cut is as sharp as all of the other sides, then you have a strong predisposition to the wind element. Almost immediately, the blonde-haired boy looked down at the paper in his hand and picked a piece up, ran his finger along the edge that had just been cut. He was pleasantly surprised to find a paper cut which told him that he had a strong wind affinity. Hearing that he had the rarest of all the elements in the world, Naruto became jubilant. It didn't twig for Naruto that with his element being the rarest, it would be much harder to train effectively. The only other combo that could compare was a water element living in Suna. Looking back at the book, Naruto found the first jutsu available to him. Wind release, air bullet jutsu, Naruto queried, running the words over his lips, trying to get a sense of familiarity. There is a reason as to why this is the first jutsu that wind elementalists learn. This jutsu was meant for teaching the basics of wind ninjutsu and to get a feel for using elemental jutsu in battle. This jutsu will send a blast of wind that is shaped into a sphere and sent straight at the user in a singular movement. The power in this jutsu comes from how the wind is compressed into the shape of sphere. The hand seals for this technique are as follows: horse, snake, bird, ram, tiger, monkey, and finally bird. A hint for all wind users is that generally speaking, most wind ninjutsu end with the bird hand seal. Smiling as it sounded like exactly what he needed, Naruto got to work. Considering how quickly he learnt the Shadow Clone Jutsu, which was a B-ranked jutsu, the blonde Jinchuriki thought he would easily be able to learn the C-ranked Wind Ninjutsu. Usually this would be easier for other genin due to their sensei giving them lessons in basic chakra. Unfortunately for Naruto, this was not the case for him and made it harder for him to learn the jutsu. Even with all the indirect training, by the time it was past his self-imposed bedtime of 9 o'clock, he barely had the jutsu down to a competent level. Had someone seen his frustration, they would have laughed at a kid complaining about a kid learning a jutsu a day. The next day. Thanks to his rather good internal clock, the blonde-haired boy named Naruto woke up at 6:30 o'clock in the morning. Despite waking up 30 minutes before he had to be at the front gates of the village, he still had time to get ready and make it. Rinsing off the sweat from the previous night, Naruto understood he was going to be going to the land of grass. The last thing he wanted was to make a bad appearance by smelling bad. That, plus the path was bound to be muggy and dirty. Getting out of the shower, Naruto went over to the chest of drawers in the room and pulled out all the clothes that he would need for the mission until he could buy more. It was then that Naruto pulled out his trusty orange tracksuit. Contrary to popular belief, Naruto did not wear a hideous bright orange jumpsuit. He actually wore a hideous orange tracksuit. At least it wasn't one piece. 10 cups of instant ramen and 2 glasses of milk later and Naruto's hunger was satisfied, for the time being. Packing his backpack with all of his clothes and a sleeping bag, Naruto looked around for anything else that he needed. Sighing in relief as he saw his frog wallet, the genin had no idea where he got it from, and yet, it was his most prized possession beside his goggles. Dismissing the thoughts that drifted down memory lane, Naruto placed his fat, full of money wallet inside the right side pocket in the hopes that if someone went through his backpack, they would forget to look at the smaller pockets and go for the big ones. XXX. Arriving at the main gate of Konoha, Naruto spotted his 2 teammates in Sakura and Sasuke sitting down on a bench with Sakura fawning over Sasuke. Said Uchiha was trying valiantly to stay calm and collected and keep up his image. "You're late," the pink-haired girl said, expecting an answer from the blonde-haired boy in front of her. She was annoyed that Naruto had to come and end her alone time with Sasuke. "Sorry I am late, Sakura, Kakashi-sensei still isn't here soon." Leaving the girl to piece together that Naruto didn't really care that he was late, as long as he beat their sensei. XXX. 2.5 hours later and Naruto was absolutely fuming with anger. If someone looked at his face though, they would see a big scowl stitched onto his face. Naruto had to get up early, even when he was tired, to prepare for the mission that he was going on. While this was happening, his sensei was happily sleeping. "I thought the lateness would disappear when we had an actual, serious mission." In that one moment, Naruto lost respect for his sensei. 15 minutes later and finally Kakashi Hatake, the former ANBU captain, came to where his 3 students were sitting down on a park bench, patiently waiting for him. With a puff of smoke, Kakashi appeared in front of Team 7. This brought out the customary shout of disapproval coming from the pink-haired Kunoichi on the team. "You're late." Sakura angrily shouted at the man that made her have to wait so long when she could have spent the extra time making herself more beautiful. Shrugging nonchalantly in a way that garnered the ire of even the most stoic out of the 3, the raven-haired boy Sasuke, Kakashi replied to the demanding tone of his only female student. "Ma, sorry I'm late, You see, there was a ladder in my apartment's doorway. I had to wait until the people finished doing work in the ceiling so that I could go out, or otherwise, I would have bad luck, and we wouldn't want for that to transfer over to you now, would we? Just to rub it in even more, he walked over to Sakura and ruffled the hair that she had spent the good part of an hour getting into a near-perfect hairstyle. Ugh, hi. Sakura fumed with anger at what her sensei had just done. She quickly pulled out her mirror to try and get her hair into what she thought was a respectable style. With all the water now under the bridge, Kakashi directed his team on their first ever trip outside the village. Time skip. Naruto was the first one out of the group that made up Team 7 to watch the sunrise that occurred over the grassy plains of Kizugakure. It was a sight that made Naruto wish that he could see it every morning because of how beautiful it was. As he was instructed, Naruto went over to Sasuke's tent and woke the boy up to get the day started. Soon the whole team was ready for yet another day of trekking through the countryside to the village hidden in the grass. Sensing two incoming chakra signatures that were ready and waiting to attack their prey, Kakashi felt something familiar about one of the incoming chakra signatures growled under his mask because he knew exactly who it was that was coming after his team. Sensing the other smaller chakra beside him, Kakashi could tell that the IWA leader had been arrogant in believing that a Chunin would be able to take on all of his students at once and expect to win. This was going to be the baptism of fire for Team 7, and Kakashi really hoped that his team swam instead of sinking. Team Kakashi said in a tone that was not too far from the one that he used when he was in the ANBU Corps. Hearing the seriousness in Kakashi's voice, all of Team 7 turned and gave him their full attention. There are two incoming enemy ninja, both from IWA, so you can guess that they both have a Doton element and will be using earth-based techniques. There is one Jonin and a Chunin, judging by the chakra signatures that they are emitting. This is baptism by fire and something that I wanted to avoid, but I guess that I don't have that luxury. The Jonin is way too tough for you to handle, and I will be facing him alone. That means that you three will have to deal with the Chunin until I am done with my opponent and can then finish them off. If in the event that you finish off your opponent before I do with mine, do not come to try and aid me. You will only get in the way and make it easier for him to get an advantage, as he could take either one of you as a hostage. Kakashi said in a forceful and demanding tone. He knew that the lives of his genin were on the line, and he wasn't going to take any chances with the legacies of his past dying. All of Team 7 nodded and had a resolute facial expression on their face, as they knew that they were going to be facing their first real test, and it was one that they couldn't fail. Your best bet right now is to think up a strategy together as a team, because I will not be able to help you. You're all on your own for this battle. Kakashi said to the team, which nodded and started thinking about a plan. Sasuke is the first to take action and formulated a plan in his head. For the first time in his life, even Sasuke was feeling the pressure and acted on instinct rather than letting his blown-out ego take over. Alright, here is what we're gonna do. Naruto, you need to be the meat shield for the first part so we can see what our enemy's attacks are like and see if we need to change our strategy during the battle. Sasuke said, just as if he was a natural-born leader on the battlefield. Coincidentally, he had the confidence and courage to take risks to be a Chunin. It was just that he didn't yet have the experience. Deciding that he should go into more detail than what he had just said, Sasuke started speaking once again. Naruto, how many of those clones can you make? That would be up to battle standards. Sasuke questioned the orange-wearing ninja. It took Naruto a little while before he could give Sasuke an honest answer. Probably around 300. Naruto replied to the kid who had taken command. Working with the information that Naruto had given him, Sasuke's mind started forming a plan. Right, Naruto, your clones are going to go and attack him first so we can see how he fights and how we can use that to our advantage. When your clones are doing this, Naruto, I want them to try their hardest to get them to hold onto him so he can't move. Sasuke paused for a second for the information to sink through to Naruto, who nodded and had a determined look on his face. Right, during when your clones are trying to hold him down, all three of us will be throwing kunai and shuriken to hurt them so that he will have a harder time moving. When Naruto's clones get a good hold of him, I will use my Katan, Gokaki no Jutsu, Fire Release, Grand Fireball Jutsu, on him, and then we will finish him off. Both of Naruto and Sakura looked affronted at the fact that they would have to witness someone dying on their first mission. Despite this look of unease, the Three all had looks of pure determination on their faces as they readied themselves for the approaching battle. Even if Sakura tried hard to hide her fangirling. Seeing Sasuke take control like that was making her feel all sorts of ways. XXX. For Kakashi, this mission just got personal and he was going to do everything in his power to avenge his fallen friend/comrade and teammate by killing Kako of IWA. The man was single-handedly responsible for life turning out the way that it did. The man in front of him killed Obito as far as he was concerned. As he hadn't had a good fight in a long time, it was Kako who was taking initiative. Well, Kakashi, how about we go further into the woods so that we can give our battle the fight that it truly deserves? The brown-haired man, eager to see how he measured up against the famous ninja, remembering the time he famously escaped the kid and his sensei. It was a catch-22 for Kakashi. Whilst he did want to separate Kako from his genin so there was no repeat of a hostage situation, he knew absolutely nothing about the Chunin and whether or not his team could cope with him. In the end, he decided that he simply had to put faith into his students and hope for the best. With both of them nodding, the two of them took off to the right in which they would have their rematch. With Team 7. Ha ha ha. Go along, little kiddies, I'll let you use this time so you can form a plan. Come on, show me all of that teamwork that you Konoha scum pride yourselves on. The man with only one sleeve boasted. With the free invitation given to them, Sasuke took the time to once again take action and give the team a plan. Look guys, he's so egotistical, it's something that we can use to our advantage. Naruto, you run in only by yourself, Sakura and I will throw kunais at him. They will sail past your head and by the time they reach the guy, I want you to use your shadow clone jutsu and then we will just use the same plan from before, got it? Sasuke stated, clearly taking leadership over the team. Naruto and Sakura didn't have any issues as they couldn't think of a better plan given the time frame. Not once during his speech about the enemy being egotistical did Sasuke notice the irony in what was coming out of his mouth. Alright, go Naruto, we'll cover you with kunai. Sasuke commanded, to which Naruto nodded and charged in at the Chunin from IWA. Said Chunin from the land of Earth was curious as to what the genin managed to come up with in such a short amount of time. Whatever it was not as if the kids had a chance to beat him. He was a Chunin after all and they were fresh genin judging by the look of Naruto's clothes. As he came in closer to the enemy, Naruto amended Sasuke's plan and made it into his own. Putting extra amounts of chakra into the technique, Naruto allowed a large plume of smoke to appear. This intended distraction certainly caught the eyes of the IWA Chunin. Hunta did not know what was going to come next, now that there was a cloud of smoke covering the battlefield. Since Sasuke had thrown the kunai with such force, it didn't matter that Naruto had made some clones in front of their path. As the kunai sailed through the cloud of smoke, they killed a couple of clones in the process and went en route to hit their original target. Sakura's kunai sadly did not have the muscle behind them like Sasuke's and as such stopped when they hit one of Naruto's clones. In the mind of Naruto, the smokescreen and the loss of a few clones was all worthy as long as all of Team 7 got out of this encounter with their lives and no permanent injuries. Piercing Naruto's clone, the two kunai that Sasuke threw at his first real enemy in his first real battle went on to score successive hits on the IWA Chunin. The first one caused a shallow cut onto his left hip. The second, sticking painfully into the thigh muscle of the IWA Chunin, Sasuke was smirking as he saw that the damage he had caused was enough for Naruto to get 3 clones to jump on him and hold onto a limb with the only free one being the man's left arm. While the clones of Naruto were holding onto each of the limbs as if it was like a dog humping somebody's leg, Naruto had moved his body around so that the knee of each of his clones was resting on the limb that they were holding onto. In a split second after Naruto's clones had gotten into position, they immediately went to work doing their part in the plan that Sasuke had set out for the team. They repeatedly jammed their kneecaps into the side of Hunta's limbs they were holding onto. Each of the clones managed to get 2 hits on the limb before they were destroyed. Fire release, Grand Fireball Jutsu. Sasuke called out as placing his hands into the Tiger Seal, releasing the jutsu towards the IWA Chunin. Seeing the impending death in front of him, adrenaline kicked in for the Chunin. Earth release, double suicide decapitation no jutsu, the black-haired Chunin said out loud as he dug into the ground to escape the oncoming blast, leaving the clones to take the full force of the C-rank jutsu. Hearing the name of the jutsu that the man called out, Sasuke remembered exactly where he had heard it before. Guys, Sasuke said, getting the attention of Sakura and Naruto as they tried to find out where the man had gone to. This was the jutsu that Kakashi used on me when we had our Genin test. Our enemy is underground and is going to pull at least one of us underground. Sasuke announced to his team, who sent him grateful looks and nodded as they shifted their attention to the ground to see when and where their enemy would pop up. Hearing what the black-haired kid had said when he was underground made the Chunin curse under his breath and started to think up a new plan. Curse those brats, they actually made a good strategy. That caused me to suffer an injury. And wait, what's this? They actually know what jutsu I'm using at the moment? Guess I have to turn this up a notch. I never would have expected some fresh out of the academy gakis to be this good. Re-evaluating the flow of the battle, Hunter realized that he needed to take out Sasuke. He's obviously their leader. As soon as he saw a hand pop out of the ground, the Uchiha clan heir quickly moved his right foot, avoiding getting dragged underground. Unaware of the real plan, Sasuke could only watch on in horror as the enemy went after his ankle, rather than trying to drag him down. By the slimmest of margins, Sasuke dodged the attack, retaliating by slamming it back down on the hand coming out of the ground repeatedly. Damn that kid. He can't be a fresh out of the academy genin. He's too good. I guess that since Kako-senpai could be having trouble with Kakashi, I better finish these kids fast. I need to get in Kako's good books. He's my only chance at promotion. Having just created what was theoretically his most powerful jutsu, who better was there to test this on than fresh genin? Casting his jutsu, the Chunin from the land of Earth silently made the earth around him turn into mud and form about 5 meters behind Team 7. All of this, happening as Hunta still happened to be beneath the surface. To complete the jutsu that he was making, the black-haired individual slowly rose up from the ground, letting his body get layered with mud, leaving tiny holes to be able to breathe. Finally, once the jutsu was done, the IWA Chunin fired off what would be the first bullet made out of earth at Sasuke. Confident that none of the genin would be able to hear the hardened clump of mud sailing through the air, Hunta impatiently waited so that he could gloat. It was fun toying with the emotions of Konohagakure genin after all. If anything could come from the severe paranoia that Naruto had as a younger child, it was being able to feel things around him better than those of his age. Acting on instinct, the blonde-haired member of the Uzumaki clan turned around and was shocked at what he saw. Coming quickly in the direction at where his only male friend was standing, was a football-sized sphere of mud. Naruto knew that it would cause serious damage to Sasuke if he didn't do anything about it real soon. Diving on instinct, in the direction of the last loyal Uchiha, pushing him out of the way. Ideally, Naruto wanted to avoid the two of them getting hit. Instead, Naruto got hit in the left ankle. Hearing the loud cry of agony just after he had been pushed aside, Sasuke turned around to a feeling all too familiar. That was the feeling of helplessness, and the emotion came on very strong. There in front of him was Naruto, the only person his age he had formed a bond of remote friendship with. He was the only other kid around his own age that knew that pain of being truly and utterly alone. Unconsciously channeling chakra into his eyes, Sasuke felt the familiar feelings of rage, anger, and utter helplessness. Activating his clan's prized bloodline limit, the Sharingan, with one tomo in each eye, Sasuke took command of the situation and started feeding off of the adrenaline that was being fueled by his anger. Sakura! Sasuke shouted at Sakura, who was too shocked at seeing the damage that Naruto had suffered when he took the hit for Sasuke. Thankfully for Sasuke, this was enough to bring the pink-haired girl out of stunned stupor and got her focusing on her now red-eyed teammate. Take Naruto into the tree line so that we can think of a plan to hopefully win this without any more injuries, while we stall some time for Kakashi-sensei to come in and help. While you're doing this, I will buy you some time. Got it? Even as Sasuke said the word help, he had said it with disdain, but he was not going to put his own ego over other people that were close to getting hurt or possibly worse, killed. Especially after the fact that said injured person had been the one to save him. Nodding dumbly at the commanding aura that her crush had taken on when he spoke to her, Sakura thought Sasuke was hot as hell when he commanded her. The inert tsundere was coming out. Sakura picked up Naruto as best she could so that she wouldn't injure his ankle anymore. At the present moment, she could tell it was broken just by looking at it. Turning around to where the mud had been shot at, Sasuke saw the person responsible for Naruto having to cover his arse. In the mind of Sasuke, the raven-haired Uchiha was not seeing Junta in front of him, instead he was seeing an Itachi-shaped Junta witch. This was the cause of untold psychological damage inflicted onto him as a kid. Right in front of him was mud-shaped animal that was at least 3.5 meters long and that was about 1 meter wide in circumference at the base. As the structure rose from the ground, it slowly got thinner. That was just the basic design of what he was seeing. The more detailed version would also include how the mud was shaped and molded into a dragon. Just to make Sasuke even angrier, in its mouth, was another one of the balls of mud that Naruto got hit with. Ha ha ha, look at my greatest technique that I will now be testing on its first victims. Don't even think about trying to win because this jutsu is so awesome that no one can defeat it. Although the man was wrong in the statement, it did not make Sasuke feel any less nervous. Isn't it such a wonderful jutsu? I call my pride and joy the Doton, Daidoryuden no Jutsu, Earth Release, Great Mud Dragon Bullet Jutsu. I call it this because I combine two jutsus into one jutsu that is even better than the two jutsus combined. I combined the Doton, Doryuden no Jutsu, Earth Release, Mud Dragon Bullet Jutsu, with the Doton, Dosen Kiryu, Earth Release, Earth and Stone Dragon Jutsu, and you get to be the first person to see what it does other than me. The Chunin from IWA proudly boasted as he had been waiting for this moment for quite a while. Having heard enough from the man that caused Naruto to have a broken leg, Sasuke launched himself at a speed that was even faster than what Naruto had used before. With the aid of his newly activated Dojutsu and the adrenaline pumping in his body, the raven-haired boy easily dodged the multiple shots of mud being fired at him thanks to his better vision. Fueled by aggression, anger and adrenaline, Sasuke tried punching and kicking the base of the structure, getting nowhere. Ha ha ha. Mere punches won't be able to break my jutsu, the mud will just absorb the power behind them into the ground. Kid, you better try something new or otherwise I'll end this soon. The Chunin from IWA said, which only spurred Sasuke on even further. Taking out a two kunai with the intent of using each one in each hand, Sasuke slashed wildly in the hopes of cutting down the mud dragon. Realizing what the kid was trying to do, the green-eyed man took the battle a little bit more seriously as over time, the kid would be able to severely weaken his jutsu. Getting fired at by an even larger volley of chakra-powered mud bullets, a stray bullet clipped Sasuke's outstretched arm. Frustrated at the lack of effect his tactics seemed to have, Sasuke took a moment to take a few steps back and re-evaluate. Cursing that his concentration had been broken by requiring to dodge incoming attacks, Sasuke knew he would have to think of a new strategy. Patiently waiting for the change in cadence, Sasuke sprinted in a zigzag pattern before finding time to launch off his fire jutsu. Taking solace in that he had managed to finally connect with an attack, Sasuke hurriedly headed away into the forest from the open plain that he was standing in. When he hopped past the first few trees, something caught the eyes of the last loyal Uchiha to Konoha. That was the sight of not only the pink jacket that Sakura had been wearing earlier that day but also the pink hair that was also unmistakably Sakura's. Fuming internally, Sasuke spoke up. "What the hell are you doing? You're supposed to be much further ahead than this. The point of me making the distraction was to get you further ahead so that you could get some help to finish this off but also so that you can get someone to fix Naruto's leg." Sasuke seethed, not liking Sakura not obeying his orders. Visibly deflating because it was her crush that was speaking to her in that way, Sakura wondered whether she made the right decision concerning the team. Growing a spine for once when it concerned her crush on near obsessive proportions, Sakura actually spoke back at Sasuke. The first lesson that Kakashi-sensei taught us all, Sasuke-kun, was that in the ninja world, those who break the rules are trash. That's true, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. Just because you wanted to do the heroic thing, it doesn't mean that you're not part of the team. Here's a new saying that Team 7 is going to abide by from now on. One for all and all for one, the pink-haired girl shouted at Sasuke, stunning him into silence. Watching on, Naruto came up with an idea, using the makeshift crutch that Sakura had built from 4 sticks and some ninja wire so that he could stand. I've got a plan so that we can beat this guy. Sasuke, how much chakra do you have and how many of those fireballs can that make? Naruto, who was standing via the aid of the crutch that Sakura had just recently made. It only took just a few seconds for the Sharingan wielder to reply with the answer of 2, giving Naruto another question that he needed to ask. Can you make one giant one instead of 2 smaller ones? Naruto asked once again, to which Sasuke nodded, confident in his abilities with fire manipulation. Now I need something more for my plan to work out, Sakura. Naruto questioned, which brought the girl's gaze to him as he asked her a question. Sakura, do you have anything other than the standard kunai, shuriken, and the ninja wire that you used to use this make this crutch? Naruto asked his former pink-haired crush. Nodding, Sakura produced a kunai, though it was not just a standard kunai. No, this was one of the special explosion kunai that her parents had bought her for a graduation present in case she ever needed it. Unlike the other kunai, these were made out of a special chakra-conducting material which allowed for better placement of seals onto the kunai, thus increasing said seal's effectiveness. Along with that, Jiraiya had also placed stronger explosion seals on them to give them a bit more oomph. To offset the much more enemy-friendly kunai to the shinobi on the battlefield, the kunai had to be sold at a premium price. All in all, it was lucky and rare for a genin, let alone a freshly minted genin, to get their hands on one. Yeah, this is a special explosion kunai, Sakura said, to which both Naruto and Sasuke looked on with newfound interest because they both knew that this kunai was more power-packed than the regular kunai that explosion seals on them. As soon as Naruto recognized what Sakura had in her hand, he grinned because it was exactly what he needed when it came to his brilliant plan. With a smile on his face, Naruto addressed both Sasuke and Sakura. That's great, Sakura. That'd be perfect for what I've got planned. Naruto already grinning at his idea. I've been trying to learn a wind jutsu for the past few days, Databayo. Wind makes fire much stronger, and if we add the kunai, that's gotta be able to cause a lot of damage. Both Sasuke and Sakura ignored the feelings of curiosity, wondering why he was learning it. Now was not the time. Wait, Naruto, how are you going to be able to use your jutsu? You can hardly move. Sakura asked with concern as her perception of Naruto had changed throughout this ordeal when she saw what he did for her Sasuke. She was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt as long as he did not ask her out on dates anymore. Dismissing the concern that Sakura had for him, he did his best to reassure her that he was alright so that the team could focus on the mission. Don't worry about me, Naruto said, which made the insecurities that Sakura was feeling go down to a minimum for the moment. Hopping on one leg, Naruto, being supported by his teammates, found a mentally deranged IWA Chunin who was not at all happy for having his prized creation so humiliatingly ruined by a mere academy graduate. With a nod to one another, all of Team 7 started to prepare their respective attacks, with Naruto leaning on Sasuke for balance. Fire release, Great Fireball Jutsu, Wind release, Air Bullet Jutsu. Both Sasuke and Naruto called out their respective jutsus as all of Team 7 watched on in awe at the combined large fireball that was going towards the enemy. The new and improved fireball was almost triple the size of one that Sasuke could make by himself. He had to learn that jutsu from Naruto so he could do that on his own. From afar, to the right, Sakura knew her part and was a little overwhelmed by the combined fireball of Naruto and Sasuke had just made. This was why she was a little slow when it came to doing her part, but she nonetheless did it and did it well. Throwing the special kunai in a perpendicular line, she patiently waited for the kunai to cross over with the fireball and the IWA Chunin. Thankfully, the kunai didn't go off immediately, due to it being made of steel, rather than wrapped in paper. Using the superior control over her chakra compared to her two teammates, Sakura used the ram hand sign and channeled some chakra into the kunai. Boom! All of Team 7 heard as they watched on with fascination at how the fireball engulfed the mud dragon and tore it to pieces. It was then that the genin team, being led by Kakashi, heard the horrific screams coming from inside the fire. Sadly for them, that was not the case, because when Sakura had turned her back to the man, just so that she could walk over to her team and celebrate with them, an insane, naked man came out of the mud with the intent of killing her. Knowing that only he and Sasuke were the ones to see this, and the fact that Sasuke had run out of all of his chakra to use in battle, which left it up to Naruto to save the day once again. Calling it out once again, Naruto's jutsu hit the man, colliding with his ribs, sending him to the ground forcefully. Gaining confidence, his jutsu was working due to the screams coming from the enemy ninja. This time though, he knew to expect Naruto using a wind ninjutsu at him. It meant that he was now looking at Naruto to see whether or not he would fire another one of the attacks. That was exactly the case, in that Naruto sent another one of the wind release, air bullet jutsu, and had it aimed directly at the IWA Chunin. The Chunin dodged the attack and was now running with a deranged look on his face at Sakura with a kunai in hand with the intent to slice her throat. Closing her eyes, fearing for her life, Sakura waited for the inevitable blow. When the blow didn't come, and instead of the blow, there was a really loud crackling sound coming from in front of her, the pink-haired girl managed to squint and one eye open and was shocked. "You!" Sakura screamed as she looked down at the two blobs of blood on the front of her dress. Using Sakura's discomfort, quickly dumped the body into the ground, burying it before she had to see him. "I told you, Sakura, that I wouldn't let anyone hurt you, so you don't have to worry about anything like that happening again," Kakashi said as looked around to see what type of condition the rest of his team was in. It was then that he noticed that Naruto, said boy, was leaning quite heavily on a makeshift crutch. Immediately the silver-haired Jonin worried about something serious happening to his sensei's son. That thought though was cancelled when Kakashi noticed that there was not one speck of blood coming from him. It was this that allowed Kakashi to breathe a sigh of relief as he then turned his attention to his final student. There was the Uchiha, the other last living reminder to the past that was so painful for him. Seeing that the raven-haired boy had his Sharingan activated with a tomo in each eye made Kakashi proud that his student had unlocked a piece of his heritage. Seeing that there were no serious injuries to him made Kakashi relieved that even though the mission went slightly pear-shaped, the team all managed to pull together and make it through the ordeal. "Year. You just unlocked your Sharingan and you've got one tomo in each eye," Kakashi said, to which the raven-haired Uchiha fainted with a smile on his face. With a passed-out Sasuke slung over one shoulder, Kakashi decided to let his students know of the incoming chakra signatures so that they wouldn't panic and get into fighting positions, especially Naruto with his broken leg. "There are 3 incoming chakra signatures, but you don't need to worry," Kakashi quickly stated as he saw the tensing in both of his students. It was almost half a minute later that there were 3 figures who had dropped down from the tree line and bowed their heads towards Kakashi as if he was the Hokage. "We are deeply sorry, Kakashi-sama, for not getting to your battle so that we could help out. We only heard about it when we felt that final chakra spike and heard a faint noise in the distance," the leader of the 3 Chunin said as he bowed to the silver-haired man. "Ma, that's all right. Now my students are injured from their first battle, so we need to take them to your hospital so that Naruto here can have his broken leg looked at," Kakashi said so that his sensei's son could get the treatment he needed. Nodding at the statement from Kakashi, 2 of the 3 Chunin from Kusa moved over to Naruto and took both of his arms and wrapped them over their respective shoulders so that they could carry Naruto and move at a faster pace. XXX. Once the team of 6, albeit with one incapacitated, got through the gates of the hidden village in the land of grass, they had to go their separate ways because they each had their own agendas of things to do. With Kakashi being occupied with trade negotiations and Sakura volunteering to take Sasuke to the hotel to rest, Naruto was left in the hospital ward, waiting for someone to come and help with his broken leg. Once arriving at the foyer of the hospital, the 2 Chunin told the receptionist what had happened to Naruto and she promptly called for a medical ninja to come and heal his leg. Sitting down in the waiting room, it was not long until there were 2 people who came out to greet Naruto. The first of them was the usual description for what Naruto had of what a doctor/medical ninja looked like with his scrubs. The second person was someone that Naruto wasn't quite sure who they were. Now that he thought about it, she looked quite young to be a doctor. She only looked just a little bit older than what he was. The girl was wearing a pair of black shinobi sandals, which was what Naruto could call the only normal part of her choice in clothing. Admittedly, this was only compared to what he could gather what Ino, Sakura, and all of the other girls at the academy chose to wear. It was even different from that massive baggy jacket that Hinata wore. This girl was wearing a full-length mesh bodysuit that was underneath a skirt. She had a tan polo button-up t-shirt that had a dark brown stripe that went the whole way around from her breast line. The whole ensemble for Naruto was quite unique. He had never really seen a girl dress like a tomboy. The craziest part of her look, though, was bright red hair that went all the way down to her belly button. This was combined with vibrant red eyes that the girl had were thoroughly entrancing. All of this was complemented by the black glasses that framed the girl's face and made her someone who, despite having a different type of style, he still found her attractive. It was then that he was brought out of his reverie by the older, male doctor. Karen here will be the one healing you. She is a medical ninja in training. I will merely be here to oversee the procedure in case anything goes wrong. Looking at Karen with anxiousness, Naruto hoped she knew what she was doing. Naruto gave her a polite smile, one which managed to get one in return from Karen. What's happening to me? I usually don't fall for boys, especially ones that wear such ugly clothes. Once the two went away and into their own room so that Naruto could have his leg checked on, the red-haired girl started speaking to Naruto. Well, since the receptionist said that you have a broken leg, you must be really strong to not show any signs of pain from the injury. Karen said as she kept her head focused on the clipboard in her hands. Before, when Naruto was nowhere near as smart as what he was now, he would have grinned like an idiot and bragged to the cows came home about how tough and how strong he was. Now though, with the little bit of humiliation and realizing how much further there was for him to improve as a shinobi compared to how little he actually knew, made Naruto be honest about something like this. Sorry about that, my sensei used some jutsu on my leg so that I can't feel any pain coming from it. He also made it so that I can't move my leg either, so I guess you know what he did? Naruto questioned to his first ever experience with a doctor. She nodded. Now, Naruto, I need you to take off your pants or at least roll them up and keep them there so I can carefully take off your shinobi sandal. The glasses-wearing girl quickly amended as she saw the outrageous look on Naruto's face. Now Naruto, you have managed to get the best possible break in terms of it being a break that doesn't take that long to heal, since all you have to heal is the two bones mending back into one. Normally when someone breaks an ankle, the two bones will dig into your ligaments and tendons, which are the parts that allow you to move your leg and cause you a lot more pain. It would also take a lot longer to heal. Karen stated as she was using a formal tone when discussing what is wrong with a patient. So, what color would you want to have your cast, Naruto? Orange. Karen somehow managed to say with a dry tone and yet chuckled after as soon as she said it. Naruto for his part was scratched the back of his head with an awkward laugh. He knew his clothes weren't the greatest, heck they weren't even great in Naruto's mind, but he wouldn't be subjected to having to buy all of his clothes from Konoha since they would always overpriced items. Getting out of his reverie about reminiscing about darker days for himself, Naruto answered the question that Karen had given him. No, I will have the cast in a red color. Naruto replied to Karen in an equally dry tone, hoping to win the conversation that they were having. A small blush appeared on the girl's face. She didn't expect Naruto to turn that one around. After placing the cast and Naruto having to wait 2 hours for it to be fully ready, Naruto was now ready to go. Hey, Karen-chan, would it be possible for you to give me a full medical check? I am an orphan and I haven't had one in a while, so I would like to know what's going on in my body, Naruto asked while flashing the smile that she had seen when he first met her. Fine, but I'm going to need you to take off all of your clothes for that to happen, as I need to go over all parts of your body. The red-haired girl stated with a massive blush covering her whole face. Naruto wasn't any different, as he too had his whole face red from embarrassment, which was unlike the tan complexion that he usually wore. In Naruto's mind, it was either do this with someone from his village, which was something that he did not want to happen, or do it with someone else who would give him honest and true answers. The fact that she was from a different village made it all the better, because he had hopes that he would never have to see her again and remember the embarrassing moment that he was about to get himself into. Grumbling, Naruto finally spoke after a bit of time. Fine, can we just get this over as soon as possible, because I know this is going to be heaps awkward, and judging by the blush on your face, I'm guessing that you feel the exact same way? Naruto questioned to the tan shirt wearing girl, who only just nodded as she was too nervous to speak. She didn't trust herself enough to speak. Bravely taking both his jacket and t-shirt off, Naruto faced the fact that he was skinnier than a lot of the other kids at the academy. It was a reminder that he couldn't afford to eat well and didn't know how to cook either. Naruto was unaware that he was so lucky, having the fox in his gut allowed Naruto to get away with poor diet, thanks to his healing factor. Karen was shocked, seeing just how skinny Naruto was. There was almost no sign of muscle or fat. He was mostly skin and bone. Wanting to hide himself as much as possible from the gaze coming from Karen, Naruto quickly dropped his pants, leaving him just in his undies, just only managing to get the offending pants over the hardening cast that was on his leg. Irritated by the look that Karen was giving him, Naruto let his emotions bleed out as he spoke. "Can we get on with the examination and stop staring at my body?" Naruto said in a tone that was a bit harsh and he somewhat regretted using on Karen. Confused and then subsequently hurt at the tone he was now using, Karen refocused. He was so polite before. Hearing the tone that Naruto used on her made Karen realize that she had been staring at him and it made her feel guilty. "Right, sorry about that, now can you please lie on the bed? It doesn't matter what position you lie in, so you can choose either your back or your stomach." Karen said, to which Naruto nodded and went over to the sheet-covered bed and lied on his stomach on it so that Karen would not have the chance to possibly see the Jinchuriki seal on his stomach that would only lead to questions he wasn't willing to answer. "So, from what I can see, a lot of your issues all stem from being underweight. By putting on some more weight, I think you will get stronger, faster and have more energy to use when training and fighting," Karen mentioned, not taking her head up from the notes. Naruto grimaced. He was fairly sure already that was going to be the answer he was going to receive. "I guess I have to try and find ways to eat more food. If I want to become the best ninja I can be, I need to eat more. I would also guess that the injury you got on your leg probably wouldn't have broke if you were eating better. It can have other effects like making your body weak. Fuck. I really need to eat more." Once the red-eyed girl and Naruto had started to have a bit of a pause in their conversation, she immediately took the time to have a look at Naruto's cast and see whether or not it was ready for Naruto to walk around on, albeit it with a pair of crutches. Indeed, it was ready for Naruto to go about his way, but not before Karen had called for her teacher to come in and have a look. She had to get him to sign off saying that her workmanship was at the industry standard. With a check of the leg done by the chief of medicine, the man gave Naruto the all-clear for him to move around. Being the gentleman he was in training, Naruto took one last final chance to say goodbye the proper way, well, what he thought the proper way was to Karen. Once getting the pair of crutches off of the receptionist, which he would have to give back when he went back to Konoha, Naruto made one last final comment to Karen before leaving. "Thank you for the time that we spent together, Karen. I am grateful for choosing to have you as the doctor rather than someone else." And with that said, Naruto gently grabbed the hand of the red-eyed girl and gave it a quick chaste kiss before Karen could say something. Naruto turned around and left with a massive blush on his face. What Naruto did not see was the blushing mess that was the red-haired girl who stammered to say something before Naruto could leave. Sadly, that was not the case, but as soon as Naruto left her side, Karen did manage to reply, even though she knew that the blonde-haired boy would not be able to hear what she was saying. "Thank you, and I hope to see you again, Naruto, Kun," Karen said in a daze before she had to turn around so that she could go back to the work that her sensei had installed for her. XXX. Hating the fact that he was unable to move, Naruto felt restless with all of the energy, especially with the Kyuubi's chakra filtering into his system, that he wanted to get better as soon as possible. With a thought in his mind, Naruto headed back to the hospital, mere moments after getting the all-clear. Karen was minding her own business when a familiar voice broke her concentration. "Hey Karen, there is something that I want to ask you. Can we have a chat outside, if that is not too much to ask?" He wondered. She thought that as soon as Naruto had the cast put on his leg, he would just go and spend all of the time that he was in Kusa with his teammates. She didn't expect to see the bright yellow mop of hair ever again, but if she was honest with herself, she was happy to see the politely smiling boy once again. Once they made it outside, Naruto fumbled a bit with his words. The rejections from Sakura were fresh in his mind. "Karen, would it be possible if the two of us could go out on a date?" Naruto questioned, hoping she said yes. Said girl was shocked. Why would someone, let alone someone from another village, want to go out with her when none of the boys that she went to the academy with would even spend any time of day with her? A multitude of thoughts ran through her head, causing her to forget where she was. Naruto, seeing the time it was taking Karen to answer, Naruto panicked. Karen, I don't expect that this to be a full-blown relationship between the two of us. I just thought that we both could get some experience when it comes to dating under our belt, so that if we ever want to date someone that a relationship could happen with, we'd at least have some experience beforehand so that we don't mess it up. These words from Naruto brought Karen out of her reverie, and it was this time that Karen finally found her voice, preparing a question that had been on her mind ever since he asked her for a date. Why me? I mean, there are a lot of other girls out there who are prettier than me, so why did you choose me? Or is it just because that I'm just the first girl that you've come across in Kusa, she said, with a hint of bitterness in her voice. She did not like it how other girls got all of the attention from the boys when she got none at all. Naruto was affronted at the tone that she was using when she described herself to him. He thought the total opposite, thinking she was beautiful in her own right. While it is true that you are the first girl that I have met in Kusa, Naruto said, not fully aware how much this hurt Karen. But I do not see how you could possibly think that you are not pretty. At this point a blush appeared on Naruto's face, but it did not stop him from speaking his mind. You have a great smile, and I don't think you realize just how amazing your hair is, Naruto stated to the said red-haired girl. No one had ever mentioned her hair and it being pretty outside of her father. Karen looked up, using the vibrant red eyes, and looked into Naruto's oceanic blue ones and asked with a hesitant tone. Do you really mean that, Naruto? Karen said with a hint of uncertainty in her voice. Seeing the look in the eyes of Naruto, she jumped and hugged him. Karen did do that because she had a nervous blush on her face when she released the hug. It was then that Naruto talked about what they would be doing for the date. I guess we can go and have some lunch since you just finished your work, and I know that if I had just finished training I'd be hungry as well, Naruto questioned to Karen, who just nodded and smiled. In the mind of the red-haired girl, today was going to be a day that nothing could possibly ruin. But first, I think that we should go to one of your shinobi clothing stores so that I can get some clothes to wear so that I don't make you look bad. I think that having a girl's opinion on the choice of clothes I buy should make me look better, right? Naruto questioned with a grin on his face as he just saw Karen giggle and nod, as she did think that Naruto needed some better choice of clothing, especially if he was a ninja. When they went into the store, Naruto was in for a sharp change of mindset because he noticed that all of the clothes that were in here were totally different to what Konoha had. Back at home, all of the clothes that Naruto had seen that people could buy were in the form of kimonos. In Kusa though, it was a whole different kettle of fish because they had embraced the change when it came to the fashion that a lot of Konoha had discarded, thinking that it wouldn't sell at all. So Naruto, how much stuff do you need to buy today? By the looks of your clothing, I can guess that you need a whole new wardrobe? Karen grinned, lightly teasing, as she was finally finding out what it meant to have fun with people around her own age. Naruto was in the same boat. He knew that Shikamaru, Choji and Kiba were not really friends to him. They were more like acquaintances when he looked back on the days he spent at the academy. Replying with a smile of his own, Naruto nodded and replied to the red-haired girl. Yeah, it seems as if I do need a whole new wardrobe. Would you mind helping me out here? Sure thing, you kind gentleman, Karen said with a giggle as she liked the way that Naruto was treating her. None of the boys at the academy had even half of the manners that Naruto seemed to have. So, what types of clothes would you like to wear, Naruto? Karen stated as she started imagining Naruto in all different types of clothes, wondering which ones would look the best on him. It took Naruto a while to decide what he wanted to wear. With that in mind, the red-headed girl went around to the shelves and pulled off some clothes so that Naruto could go into the store's changing rooms and try them on. It took Naruto a few minutes to change into the clothes because of his broken leg, but once that was done he called Karen over to the door. Opening the door, Karen was greeted with the sight of the new and improved Naruto Uzumaki. Wearing a pair of loose-fitting black track pants, tapered at the ankle, Naruto completed the look with a burnt orange hoodie with black trimmings and drawstrings. Naruto also replaced Irika's blue headband, which had stains and was falling apart. He replaced it with a simple black headband. Both Naruto and Karen were proud with how he now looked. The duo both thought it was a significant upgrade. It was then that Naruto's stomach grumbled as Karen was just about to start asking about what Naruto's food preferences were. Valiantly trying to hide the blush that was forming on his face, the blonde-haired boy jumped in. "Well, Karen-chan, how about we go and talk over some lunch?" As the duo of genin ninjas from different villages were walking down the street, Naruto and Karen came across someone that the red-haired girl, her main bully. She was an outcast due to her red hair being so uncommon. She was the only person in the village with red hair outside her father. Not wanting to sound like a little whiny bitch as she had been called many a times in the past, Karen steeled her resolve and hoped that nothing would cause the girl's attention to focus on what she was doing with Naruto. Sadly, that was not the case, as the bully had indeed seen Naruto, who she had dubbed quite cute and hanging around the nerdy, socially awkward Karen. Thinking of herself as the good Samaritan that she was, the green-eyed girl told herself that she should go and help Naruto out by telling him to not associate someone of the likes of Karen. Karen gulped as she saw her bully coming over to talk with them. Naruto briefly looked over at his date and saw the rising unease and discomfort on her face. Looking where her head was at, he saw another girl coming over to them. As soon as the girl arrived onto the scene, she spoke with a pompous attitude. "You know, that Karen is an awkward nerd. Someone as cute as you shouldn't be hanging out with the likes of her, but I'll let that pass. If you come and hang with me, then I'm sure we can more fun than what you would do with the blood clot," the girl said with a flirtatious smile on her face. Karen, for her part, was ready for the part when Naruto would blow off their date so that he could go with the prettier girl. No. It was a complete sentence. Karen was in shock. It was as pure and as simple as that. The air that filled the footpath was so warm and inviting. She could feel it emanating from Naruto. Now, though, there was a chill to the air. It was oppressive and all-consuming. Crushed as she had been shut down so simply, the bully walked away, attempting her best facade to keep her dignity in check. On an emotional high due to Naruto reassuring that he wanted to be with her, Karen reached out softly and grabbed his hand. Feeling a softer hand wrap around his own, Naruto turned away from the retreating form of the bully and looked at the red-haired girl beside him. When he felt the squeeze on his hand, he saw a smile appear on the face of Karen. This was all that Naruto needed to return the smile, as he was having one of the happiest days of his life. He wouldn't trade today for anything. Then came the argument as to what was for lunch. It was light-hearted, and the smiles on the faces of Karen and Naruto didn't disappear for a second. In the end, they had settled on a place that both Naruto and Karen had come to terms with. It was a restaurant that had been inspired by the cuisine that Kumogakure had in spades and decided to open up a shop that sold similar food. Neither had ever had it before. With a little bit of hesitancy in his voice that either the waiter or Karen picked up on, Naruto chose what he wanted to eat. "Can I please have the mild mutton curry?" Naruto stated to the waiter, who thought that, like Karen, Naruto was questioning whether or not the food was on the menu. In the end, she just gave a nod, to which Naruto replied, "Thank you." For the drinks, both Naruto and Karen were happy with just having water, as they wanted to savor the taste of the food that they were ordering. It was then that the two started their conversations that would last on for what seemed like a couple of minutes to the two, and yet in reality they had lasted about 4 hours. "So Karen-chan, what was it like growing up in Kusagakure?" Naruto asked, hoping that she didn't have to go through anything similar to him. "Well, it was fairly difficult growing up here," Karen stated as she looked down, not really knowing why she was starting to spill secrets about her childhood and the painful memories that they brought. Seeing Naruto's face, she saw confusion combined with some worry, as he wanted to know if there was anything that he could do to make her feel better. Somehow, Karen felt an urge that was telling her that it was okay to confide in Naruto. She knew that he was the type of boy who would not look at her any different once she had spilled her secrets about how she didn't have the perfect childhood. "Well, when I was 3, my mum died from cancer. Mum died when I was young, so that I don't have that many memories of her," Karen said, with the feeling of emotional pain spreading like a wildfire throughout her heart. Karen felt both of her hands taken as Naruto tried to do his best to make her feel better. He didn't want such a nice girl to be suffering from any form of pain. You're not alone in that feeling, Karen-chan. I'm an orphan myself, so I don't know what it means to have a parent or two. The only thing is that I can guess is it must be great having a father to make all of your worries go away, with him saying that he'll protect you from all of the evil that is out there to get you. Naruto wistfully stated, as there were a lot of things that he wondered of what life could have been like if a few things happened differently. It was in an instant that the negative thoughts that Karen had surrounding herself were gone, and her mind went into doctor mode, trying to heal the injuries of her date. Whether they be physical like it was with his broken leg, or emotional when it came to the pain that he was feeling about being an orphan, they were all painful. With a burning curiosity, Karen replied, "Naruto-kun, can you please tell me what it was like to grow up as an orphan?" "Sure," Naruto said with a bit of a sigh. "I won't lie to you, it was tough." This immediately made Karen listen intently to what Naruto was saying. "For some reason I always got a lot less than what all of the other kids got at the orphanage. By the age of 7 I had been kicked out of the orphanage and into my own apartment so that I wouldn't ruin the chances of other kids getting adopted," Naruto stated with no emotions on his face due to having mixed feeling about it. At this point Karen gaped in horror at the thought of a child going through such traumatic experiences at such a young age. She didn't know how she would have been able to handle being told that you were not wanted around because you were ruining the chances of other kids finding a home. Despite having a dumbfounded look on her face, Karen still let Naruto continue on from where he was talking about his childhood. "The fund that is set up for orphans to get money to live off always seemed to give me the smallest amount possible without its integrity being brought into question," Naruto stated, as what he said was true. The Orphans Fund did its best job at making his life as close to hell as possible without getting the Sandaime to notice what they were doing, as they didn't want to incur the man's wrath. "There was one thing that truly made my life hell though." This brought Karen's full and undivided attention because she wanted to know what was so bad that made Naruto think that being an orphan was better than what it was that he was going through. "You know about how the Kyuubi attacked our village 12 years ago, right?" the blonde-haired boy questioned, confusing Karen, who didn't know where this conversation was going. Struggling, Naruto scratched the back of his head whilst turning around and looking over his shoulder, anxiety kicking in. Never had he told this story and his nerves were kicking in hard. Instead of being able to kill the Kyuubi, all Konoha could do was seal it, but they had to seal it in a baby. "I was the child that was chosen." Once word of this got out to everyone who lived in Konoha, they thought that I was the reincarnation of the nine-tailed fox, and then they started doing things to sabotage me, like barring me access to a hospital or a library. She couldn't believe what her date had just mentioned. To think that Naruto had so much that he was going up against, and yet, he was still trying to make the most out of his situation, it was really inspiring. It was then that, before Naruto could go on about his childhood in more detail, the dishes that Naruto and Karen food arrived. If he was honest with himself, it was the best food he had ever had to eat, though that was not saying much because he only had rotten vegetables and ramen to compare it with. Once the duo had finished their dessert, Karen started asking Naruto questions about what his diet consisted of. She wanted to get Naruto onto the right track when it concerned his eating habits. Nodding, Karen put the final touches on her diet that she expected Naruto to follow. She wanted him to succeed as much as he did. "Here, have a look at it and tell me what you think," Karen said with excitement and pride easily evident in her voice. Looking it over, Naruto saw how it stated all the different things that the body needed to have inside it so that it could work at peak performance. It was exactly what Naruto needed if he wanted to become a great shinobi in not only his eyes but the eyes of everyone in the shinobi continent. "Even though there is some things on here that I do not know what they do for the body, you obviously do, so I will trust you in making the right decision for my health. As long as I follow this, I should have a body that is worthy of being in your presence, right?" Naruto said with a small grin on his face as he was getting more and more used to flirting properly with Karen as the date continued. Karen, for her part, constantly had to readjust her glasses in a feeble attempt to hide her blushing face. She didn't want to look bad in front of Naruto, who was doing a good job in making her act like a stuttering mess all the time. It was then that the time that Naruto and Karen had been putting off for as long as possible. It was a moment that the duo had been dreading ever since Karen agreed to go out on a date with Naruto, as it was time for them to part ways. Unfortunately, the restaurant had kicked them out as they had to prepare for the influx of customers for dinner. Neither Karen or Naruto realized that they had spent 4 hours together, but they weren't complaining one bit. Their goodbye was surprisingly heartfelt and emotional. They both wished they were from the same village because if they were, the two of them knew that there would be a second date in the works. Feelings of awkwardness ensued and Karen fully expected to go back to the family apartment, swoon over how perfect the date was. Shocking Naruto, who could only gasp, Karen got a shred of confidence and placed her soft lips in a clumsy chaste kiss. When she initiated the kiss, the red-headed girl planted her lips on Naruto. She expected for the kiss to be a quick, chaste kiss, but she was wrong. They spent the good part of a minute, even though it only seemed like seconds to the two individuals tried to work out what felt good for them by pressing their lips, taking them off and pressing them again in a slightly different way. Breaking apart, Karen realized what had just gone on and blushed so bad that she nearly fainted on the spot right then and there. Naruto was not much better as he was thankful for having the crutches. They supported the weight of his jelly legs and allowed him to not fall down. Realizing what she had just done with a boy, Karen was shocked because she didn't know what her father would say to her. She could assume that he wouldn't be all that pleased with what she was doing. She immediately brought her hand up and started playing with her hair. "Sorry Naruto-kun, but I have to go because my dad wouldn't like to see what I'm doing and I don't want to disappoint him," Karen said in a rush as she gave Naruto one last chaste kiss on the lips before racing into her house and closing the door, jumped onto the couch and started swooning over the boy who had stolen her heart for the first time. There was a feeling of naughtiness in the back of her mind, knowing that what she had done was not something that her father would like happening. She honestly didn't care about that though, as she was having the time of her. Naruto himself was shocked with what had just transpired just happened. He was certainly not expecting to have a proper kiss with a girl, let alone a great girl in Karen, but he was certainly not complaining. When the red-eyed beauty stated how she didn't want to make her father mad. With the time that he spent with Karen over, Naruto made his way slowly but surely to the apartment that Team 7 had been gifted for the time that they were in Kusa. It was then that the voice of Kakashi interrupted the trio. Whilst he directed what he said to his sensei's son, he purposefully said it loud enough so that Sasuke could hear it. "So Naruto, I hear you really like the color red," Kakashi asked the open-ended statement as he watched the face of Naruto give away a slight blush as he remembered the parting gift from Karen. It was then that Sasuke took in the appearance of Naruto and were surprised at the transformation he had gone under in just a little under a month. Then they tried to figure out the joke that Kakashi was saying, but the only thing they could see was the red medical gauze tape tying his pant legs from dragging on the ground. Realizing that it must have been a joke between Naruto and Kakashi, Sasuke turned his head away from Naruto and back to their previous trains of thought. Naruto, however, he saw the gleam in his sensei's uncovered eye, which was a telltale sign that his sensei knew what he had been doing for the whole day. Not giving his sensei the pleasure of seeing him in an uncomfortable situation, Naruto turned around and moved to the direction of his bedroom. "Today was great. I just wish that Karen was a Konoha kunoichi so that we could be together. We had a good date and I am sure that we could have had a good relationship if only we weren't separated by such a distance."
That's it for today. Remember to show your support to the creator of this story if you enjoyed it. If you would like more parts of the story to be uploaded, leave a comment and subscribe to get notified when the story continues. Bye-bye for now, and I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day.